The lecture hall was silent except for the steady squeak of chalk against the board. Professor Harold Whitmore, a man notorious for his arrogance, turned slowly toward the sea of students with a smirk curling at the edge of his lips. His sharp eyes scanned the room like a predator looking for prey. He thrived on intimidation. Every semester, without fail, he would pick a student and dismantle them in front of everyone, not to teach, but to establish dominance. This time, his gaze landed on a young man sitting quietly in the back row, John Kennedy. John was different from the other students. While many came from privileged backgrounds, John had worked 3 jobs just to afford tuition. His clothes were plain, his demeanor humble, and he often kept his head down. To Professor Whitmore, he looked like the perfect target, someone easy to humiliate. "Mr. Kennedy," the professor called, his tone dripping with mockery. "Why don't you enlighten us today?" The class shifted uncomfortably. Everyone knew what this meant. John, however, didn't flinch. He slowly stood, pushing in his chair, and walked toward the board. His steps were calm, but his heart pounded inside his chest. For years, people had underestimated him, teachers, classmates, even his own family. What they didn't know was that John had spent countless nights under a flickering lamp, devouring math books far beyond his grade level. Calculus wasn't just a subject to him, it was his language, his way of seeing the world. Professor Whitmore tapped the chalk against the board and wrote out a monstrous equation, one filled with nested integrals, trigonometric identities, and a hint of complex analysis that most students wouldn't encounter for years. He turned back, his smirk growing. "Go on then, Mr. Kennedy," he said. "Show us what you've got." The room was tense. Students whispered to one another. Some pitied John, others were curious. Everyone knew Whitmore's tricks. He didn't just test knowledge, he set traps. John studied the equation in silence for a moment, his eyes scanning each symbol like a musician reading a familiar score. Then, without hesitation, he picked up the chalk. First, he rewrote the problem in a cleaner form, simplifying the messy symbols into elegant expressions. His hand moved with confidence, breaking the problem into pieces no one else in the room could see. He factored, substituted, and integrated with a fluidity that was almost poetic. Minutes passed. The whispers in the classroom faded into silence. One by one, the students leaned forward in awe. Even the professor's smirk faltered. Finally, John set down the chalk. The final answer gleamed on the board, precise and undeniable. He turned back to face the professor. Whitmore cleared his throat, searching for a way out. "Well, perhaps you memorized that particular method," he said, voice shaky. "But surely you can't handle this." He scribbled another problem, even more complex. It was the kind of problem